It was 10 p.m. on a Tuesday when a notification lit up the residents' Facebook group. At everyone. The total for the surgery is $15,000, divided among the 30 units in Building 19. That comes out to $500 per household. Please Venmo me. I don't want to have to ask again. It was from a guy in 702 across the hall. Ever since his kid was hospitalized for appendicitis, he'd been pulling stunts like this every few days. His rationale was a masterpiece of twisted logic. My kid's sick. If he came to visit, you bring a gift or a card with cash anyway. Just think of this as paying in advance. He even had the nerve to attach his Venmo QR code to the post. Unbelievable. His kid was sick, and that was somehow my problem. People were already starting to pay him. I watched the comments roll in, sent, "Hope he feels better," and just shook my head. The world truly is full of shameless people. A second later, my phone started vibrating like a hornet's nest. It was Kyle, the guy from 702, tagging me relentlessly in the comments. At Chris Miller, just you left. Come on, man, it's the price of a nice dinner. Stop dragging your feet. I typed back. He immediately posted a photo of his kid's hospital bill. At Chris Miller, not a scam. My son's life is on the line here. Send the money. I just stare at my phone, completely baffled. He knew it was his kid. What the hell did that have to do with me? Lost in a fog of confusion and shock, I replied again. He shot back with a knife emoji. He was clearly getting pissed. At Chris Miller, I see you leaving for work, all dressed up. Don't tell me you can't spare $500. You transplants are all the same. Broke as hell. Moving in across from you was the worst luck my family has ever had. Kyle was an unreasonable asshole. Since his son got sick, he'd been inventing new ways to torment his neighbors. Mrs. Gable next door made chicken soup for her husband's recovery, and Kyle just walked over and took it, saying his son needed the nutrients more. Mr. Henderson on the floor above bought his grandson a Power Wheels Jeep, and Kyle commandeered it, claiming his son was bored in the hospital and it would cheer him up. His excuse was always the same. My kid's sick. You bring gifts anyway. This just cuts out the middleman. There were 30 households in our building. He conveniently excluded himself and expected the other 29 of us to bankroll his family. His son, his problem. Why were we suddenly on the hook for it? I typed furiously, "Your kid is sick, but what does that have to do with me?" By that logic, when all of us in Building 19 get old, is your son going to come change your diapers? Before he could respond, I kept going. Besides, I didn't knock up your wife. The kid doesn't share a single drop of my blood. Why on earth would I pay for him? That shut him up. Not a peep out of Kyle in the group chat. Slowly, residents from other buildings started chiming in, supporting me. He's right. Why should they have to pay for that? Funny how he knows where his neighbors are when he needs something. Never hear a peep from him when things are good. Kyle exploded. Who asked you? This is a Building 19 issue. What are you clowns from Building 20 yapping about? Keep it up, and I'll come over and kick your heads like soccer balls. The peanut gallery went silent. Kyle went back to tagging me. At Chris Miller, you sending it or not? If you don't, I'm coming over. We're neighbors, man. Don't make this ugly. As I was debating what to do, Mr. Henderson from upstairs sent me a private message. Chris, just pay him. The guy did time when he was younger. Nobody in the building wants to mess with him. If you push him too far, he's the type who'd burn the place down. I quickly replied, telling Mr. Henderson not to worry. When I bought this condo for a steal, the previous owner had warned me about the guy in 702. I knew he was trouble from day one, but I've never been one to back down from a fight. I posted in the group, "Fine. You want the money? Come and get it." Bang, bang, bang. The next second, my front door sounded like a battering ram was hitting it. 701. Open up. Through my Ring camera, I saw a guy with cheap red-dyed hair and tattoos stomping his slides on my welcome mat, pounding on my steel door. You'd think there was an earthquake. I opened the door. The guy, Kyle, had his hands shoved in his pockets and a wad of chewing tobacco in his cheek. "Your king has arrived," he sneered. "Fork it over. You're the last one." Wow, the sheer audacity. Seeing his arrogant smirk, I handed him a thick envelope. As I did, I added a polite, "Hope your son gets well soon. About time you saw sense," he grumbled, turning to leave without another word. I shut the door and immediately doubled over, trying to stifle my laughter. Inside the envelope were 10 crisp, new $100 bills. Of hell money. The kind you burn as offerings for the dead. I'd had it left over from when I visited my parents' graves back home. He was going to lose his mind. Boom, boom, boom. Sure enough, a minute later, my door was being kicked so hard the walls shook. You son of a bitch. Who are you trying to jinx? My son's not dead. You cursing him with hell money. I opened the door and looked him up and down. It's still money, isn't it? If your son dies, you'll have to burn it for him eventually. Consider it a down payment. The guy was so mad he was literally scratching his head. Give me the real money, or I'll kill you. I just stared at him silent. I was curious to see exactly how he planned on doing that. Ding! The elevator door opened. An older man in a white undershirt stepped out. Kyle shoved me. I stumbled back, nearly falling. I clenched my fists, ready to swing, when I saw Kyle plant his hands on his hips and point at me. Dad, this is the hard ass from the group chat who wouldn't pay. He gave me hell money to curse your grandson. The old man had a beer belly and a long, thin scar down his left cheek. He looked even meaner than his son. He grabbed a broom leaning against the wall and raised it to hit me. I caught his wrist, twisted the broom out of his hand, and, for good measure, smacked his son across the face with it. Seeing his son get hit, the old man suddenly clutched his chest, gasped, and crumpled to the ground, curling up like a boiled shrimp. Help! Somebody look! This big, strong young man is beating up a sick old man. Is anyone going to do anything? I'm old and useless, getting bullied right at my own front door in broad daylight. Is there no justice for an old man like me? A few neighbors peeked out into the hallway, and his performance kicked into high gear. Wiping away fake tears, he wailed, "My daughter-in-law left us. My grandson's sick and needs surgery." I swallow my pride and start a GoFundMe with the neighbors, and what do I get? This punk uses hell money to curse my grandson to die. Is there no law in this country? My life is so hard. Kyle immediately started filming with his phone, posting the video to the residents' Facebook group to escalate things. The onlookers started murmuring, "You must be the new guy, right? Son, they're neighbors. Why don't you just let it go? Yeah, that family's bad news. You don't want that kind of trouble. The old man has it tough. You look like you're doing okay. You see each other every day. Just give them the money." The chorus of support for the old man grew louder. Some even offered to pay the $500 for me. Have people completely lost their minds? I bit back the urge to scream at them all and pulled out my phone to call 911. Before the cops arrived, a stout kid burst out of apartment 702. He was wearing a basketball jersey, round as a barrel, with a jiggling double chin. He looked about 8 or 9. Seeing his grandpa crying on the floor, the kid went ballistic and shoved me hard. "You motherf! Who the hell are you? You think you can mess with my grandpa?" His breath was a toxic cloud of what smelled like microwaved fish and stale cigarettes. It almost knocked me out. This kid wasn't just a heavyweight. He was a biohazard. I smirked. "So, you're the one your family's running scams for? With breath that reeks of junk food? You're supposed to be in the hospital for appendicitis? You're built like a linebacker for a pee-wee football team." The kid's vocabulary was limited. "Motherf, say that again. I dare you." The neighbors who had gathered around started to catch on. Someone pointed at the kid. "Hey, isn't your son supposed to be sick? Waiting for money for an operation? Holy crap, 702 is shaking us down for cash. Yeah, look at him, bouncing around like that. He doesn't look sick at all." Just then, the elevator dinged and 2 police officers stepped out. "Officers, this man assaulted an elderly person." Kyle yelled, holding up the video on his phone, playing the victim. "He beat my dad. My dad has high blood pressure. He had a stroke last year and needed surgery. Now he's on the ground. If anything happens to him, I'll make this guy pay for his care for the rest of his life." The old man on the floor immediately started groaning. "Ow, ow, wow." An officer turned to me. "Why did you hit him?" I sighed. I didn't even touch him. He laid himself down. The fat kid ground his teeth. "You motherf. You totally messed with my grandpa." Kyle lunged at me, trying to scratch my face, but an officer blocked him. "Officer, don't listen to his bullshit. Why else would my dad be lying on the floor? Arrest him. Throw him in jail." The kid started chanting, waving his fists. "Jail! Jail! Jail!" Seeing the smug, you're finished looks on their faces, I spoke to the police. "Don't let them fool you. This is the footage from my Ring camera. I never laid a hand on the old man. On top of that, his son was trying to extort money from me. If you don't believe me, I can show you the residents' Facebook group." I pulled up the security footage and the group chat history and showed it to the officers. They both looked completely exasperated. In the few minutes this had taken, Kyle had coached his son to bite my hand while I was distracted, trying to make me drop my phone so he could smash it. "Do you have any decency?" One officer barked at Kyle after pulling the kid off me. "If it was a misunderstanding, you talk it out. Inciting your child to snatch a phone is a crime. You know that." Kyle immediately pulled the kid behind him and started wailing. "Hey, what are we paying you guys for? He's the one who hit my dad first. I wanted to pay my dad's medical bills, pain and suffering, and my lost wages." The officer's voice boomed. "Louder. I dare you to get louder. It's 11 p.m. You're already causing a public disturbance." Kyle snapped his mouth shut. After getting the whole story, the officer looked sternly at the old man, still moaning on the floor. "I've seen the security footage. The resident of 701 never touched you. In fact, you were the one who got physical first." After reprimanding the old man, the officer turned to Kyle. "Why were you demanding surgery fees from the residents?" Kyle's eyes darted around. "They were voluntary donations. That's none of your business. And when 701 refused to donate, you came to his door to demand it?" Kyle stammered, unable to answer. The officer continued. "Your son looks perfectly healthy. He certainly doesn't look like he has acute appendicitis. If we take him to the hospital and find out he's not sick, I'm going to suspect your entire family of conspiring to commit fraud and extortion. If the amount is large enough, that's prison time." At the officer's words, Kyle went pale. Hearing his son might go to jail, the old man shot up from the floor. "Officer, I'm fine now. I think my blood sugar was just low." I had to laugh at his sudden recovery. Seeing the situation was more or less resolved, the officer turned to me. "If you ever have an issue like this again, just call us immediately." I nodded, and then, right in front of the cops, I demanded that Kyle refund every cent he'd collected in the Facebook group. The fat kid immediately threw a tantrum. No, you can't give it back. What about my birthday party?" That was the last straw for the neighbors. They had been scammed to fund a spoiled brat's party. A chorus of angry shouts erupted. "Refund the money." Defeated, Kyle had no choice but to send back all the money he had received. As the police left, Kyle shot me a look of pure hatred and flipped me the middle finger. "I'm not done with you." Watching the three of them retreat into their apartment, I knew this was far from over. The next day around noon, I was still asleep when my door was rattled by thunderous banging. I opened the door to find Mr. Henderson from upstairs, with his grandson hiding behind his legs. He looked embarrassed. "Chris, your neighbors are at it again." I glanced across the hall and almost laughed out of pure rage. My front door was blocked by a mountain of garbage bags. There were at least a dozen of them, piled so high they almost reached the doorknob. Several bags at the bottom had split open, spilling out stinking fish guts, rotting vegetables, and a yellowish, unidentifiable liquid that was seeping across my welcome mat. It was summer, and after just one morning, the stench of a dumpster was overpowering. From experience, I knew there was probably human waste mixed in there, too. I was new here and barely knew anyone. The only people I'd pissed off were the family in 702. Right on cue, their door creaked open. The old man peeked out, looking triumphant. "See? You got what was coming to you." I lunged at him, but Mr. Henderson grabbed my arm. "Chris, don't. He's been pulling this I'm old and frail crap for years. Don't get sucked in. He's over 70 and has a list of health problems. If he latches onto you, you'll be in a world of hurt. Just go back inside." The old man, thinking I was scared, stuck his head out further and yelled, "You little punk. You think you can mess with me? I've eaten more salt than you've eaten rice. You're no match for me." I wrenched myself free from Mr. Henderson's grip and pointed a finger in the old man's face. "I didn't hear you. Say it again." This time, the old man stepped out fully, squaring up to me. "I said it, you little P.E.R.'d." I was done talking. I grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and started dragging him toward my front door. Hey, what are you doing?" He struggled, but I hit the gym every day. I might not be a bodybuilder, but I had more than enough strength to handle a shriveled-up old man. "You're so tough. Keep talking." I held his collar with one hand and his legs with the other, hoisting him upside down. He panicked and clung to me, but once he felt secure, he started flailing again. "You little bastard. You dare touch me. Put me down. I'll kill you." He started pinching my legs. I'm a big guy. I spun him around in circles a few times, and when I let go, I made sure to aim for the pile of garbage in front of my door. Oof! He landed hard on his rear and struggled to get up, his hand sinking into something soft and mushy. He brought it up to his face and saw a brownish-yellow liquid dripping from his palm. "Murder! I'm calling the police!" he shrieked, his voice echoing down the hallway like a stuck pig. He fumbled for his flip phone, his hands shaking as he dialed 911. The door to 702 stayed shut. It seemed his son and grandson weren't home. When the police arrived, they saw the scene, put on face masks, and grimaced. The stench was unbearable even for them. The old man stomped towards them. The officers backed away instinctively. "Just stay right there and talk." He started sputtering with rage, pointing at me. "Officers, you have to help me. 701 tried to kill me. He picked me up and threw me on the ground." It was the same two officers from the night before. Without missing a beat, I dropped to the ground and started wailing myself. "Officers, you have to help me. The guy from 702 dumped all this garbage at my door and smashed my security camera. As for him saying I hit him, does he have any proof?" The whole routine, the words, the actions was flawless. The old man froze, staring at me like he'd seen a ghost. He probably never imagined someone would perfectly replicate his go-to move. After a long, stunned silence, he finally found his voice, stammering, "You're twisting things around." I threw my hands up and shot him a look. "What? You got a problem with that? Why don't you lie down, too?" His face turned purple. He spat in my direction and began frantically explaining his side of the story to the police. The two officers started their investigation. From the pile of garbage, they found a shredded homework assignment with a fat kid's name on it and several prescription receipts for the old man. In the last frame, saved to my security camera's cloud storage, was a crystal-clear image of the old man swinging a golf club at the lens. The old man was defiant. "So what? I threw the trash. I broke the camera. Is that what's important here? He tried to kill me." I laughed in his face and said coolly, "Proof." His bluster vanished. He sputtered for a moment. Then his eyes landed on Mr. Henderson and his grandson, and a sly grin spread across his face. "You too. Tell the officers. You both saw him attack me." "Didn't see a thing," Mr. Henderson said, and his grandson shook his head in agreement. In the end, not only did the old man fail to get me arrested, but he was ordered to pay me $800 for the camera, give me a formal apology, and clean up the mountain of garbage in front of my door. "I'm sorry," he mumbled through clenched teeth, looking like he was being tortured. After he left, I thanked Mr. Henderson and his grandson. "If you hadn't spoken up for me, I don't know what I would have done." Mr. Henderson waved it off. "Son, I've been fed up with that guy for a long time. This was a chance to get a little of my own back." I laughed, telling him that if 702 gave him any trouble, he should come straight to me. The next day, the residents' Facebook group exploded. "Which one of you lowlife scums stole the Lego set I bought for my grandson? If I find out who it was, I'll make them regret it." It was Mr. Henderson, fuming in the group chat. His son and daughter-in-law worked out of state, so he was raising his grandson alone and often bought him toys online. I smiled and posted 2 videos to the group. The first was from my new security camera. It was pitch black outside, but the audio was clear. A whisper, "Dad, are you sure we won't get caught swiping the package from upstairs?" A familiar voice, Kyle's, laughed quietly. "What are you scared of? That old geezer only has one grandson. He's got so many toys. Can he even play with all of them? He should be thanking us for taking it. Besides, it's not even dawn. Everyone's asleep." The old man's voice, "Good point. It'll make a great birthday present for Leo." The second video showed the 2 of them sneaking back past my door carrying a large box. The group chat, which had been quiet, erupted. 702 stole a toy from Mr. Henderson. I knew they were cheap, but stealing is a new low. This is outrageous. What kind of degenerates do we have in this complex? Someone call the police. Mr. Henderson's kids work construction jobs to support him. How could 702 do that to them? They have no conscience. Kyle, probably seeing the videos, shot back. "Bullshit. I didn't steal anything. This is 701 framing me. He obviously deep-faked those videos. Who would want some stupid toy anyway?" A neighbor replied. "If you didn't steal it, then let someone search your apartment. You dare." Kyle posted a 60-second voice memo, screaming, "Why should I let you search? Who the hell are you?" That's breaking and entering. You won't? Then you're guilty. Despite his denials, almost no one in the chat believed him. The day before, I had seen the way the old man glared at Mr. Henderson. I had a bad feeling, so I installed a new, better hidden camera that night. I woke up early to use the bathroom and saw a motion alert on my phone. When I checked the feed, there they were, the two of them, sneaking out to play thief. When Mr. Henderson found out what had happened, his blood pressure spiked, and he almost fainted. Several neighbors helped call an ambulance to take him to the hospital. Everyone rallied behind him, condemning Kyle and his father in the group chat. Thankfully, the hospital checked him out and said he was fine. Kyle, on the other hand, had to pay Mr. Henderson $10,000 in compensation. After they got back from the hospital, the two of them came to my door with a kitchen knife and an axe. They started hammering on it. "You coward! Come out here and face me like a man," Kyle yelled, pulling these little tricks behind my back. "Aren't you afraid of getting struck by lightning? I'm going to chop you to pieces today, you little snake. It's you again, you disrespectful piece of trash. I'll kick your ass," the old man shouted, kicking my door for good measure. He was surprisingly strong for his age. I was starting to worry about my door. It had been through a lot in the past 2 days. I calmly activated the two-way talk feature on my smart lock. "Go ahead. Smash the door down. I've been meaning to get a new one anyway." The two of them outside started hopping mad. The old man raised the axe to swing, but Kyle stopped him. "Dad, he's right. We can't fall into his trap. Let's go back." A few minutes later, I could hear a fierce argument from across the hall. It sounded like the old man was chewing out Kyle for being useless and losing them so much money. The fat kid was crying about something, too. I didn't bother to listen closely. I went to my kitchen, pulled some ingredients out of the fridge, and made myself a huge, spicy bowl of chili. With a side of cornbread, I devoured it in minutes. Full and satisfied, I settled onto the couch to get some work done. Hours later, I finally started to feel sleepy. But just as I was about to drift off around 3 a.m., an ear-splitting, continuous drilling sound shattered the silence. The noise was coming from the other side of my bedroom wall, which was directly adjacent to 702's living room. It was obviously deliberate. No sane person starts renovations at 3 in the morning. I put up with it for 10 minutes, but the sound didn't stop. Furious, I recorded the noise on my phone and dialed 911. The moment the police arrived, the drilling stopped. When they knocked on 702's door, the family swore they were just doing an emergency repair on a broken piece of furniture and offered a phony apology for the noise. The police gave them a warning, and for a little while, there was silence. But less than half an hour after the cops left, they came up with something even more infuriating. Knock, knock, knock. A frantic pounding on my door. My scalp prickled with anger as I stormed to the entrance. But when I opened it, I found a Grubhub driver. I hadn't ordered any food. This was ridiculous. After a confusing conversation, I found out that Kyle from 702 had ordered the food, but put my apartment number as the delivery address. Kyle heard the commotion and opened his door, a smug grin on his face. "Learned your lesson yet? I can do this all night. Now, how about you bring me $20,000 for my son's birthday party? Otherwise, you're never getting another night of sleep in this apartment. Go to hell." I slammed the door and leaned against it, my mind racing. A direct confrontation was pointless. Kyle would just keep escalating. The feud was already this deep. If they wanted to play dirty, then we'd see who was better at it. I pulled out my phone and called my brother. "Hey man, it's me. You're heading out of town for that conference, right? How about you let Shadow come stay with me for a while?" They wanted to mess with my sleep? Fiend. It was time to unleash the nuclear option. Shadow was a retired K-9 my brother had adopted from the police department. Let's see what kind of trouble the Jenkins family could cook up now. But on Shadow's very first night with me, things went south. In the middle of the night, there was a strange scratching at the door. I checked my Ring camera, saw no one, and cautiously opened it. The instant the door cracked open, a long, thin, green shape slithered inside. Every hair on my body stood on end. Oh my God, it's a snake. Across the hall, Kyle and his son had their door open just a crack, peeking out to watch the show. My blood ran cold. Snakes were my one true phobia. I was frozen to the spot, completely paralyzed with fear. The snake moved quickly, gliding towards me. Just as I was sure I was about to die, a black blur shot past me. It was Shadow. He pinned the snake's head with one paw and its tail with the other, neutralizing it in seconds. But what happened next was unbelievable. Shadow snatched the snake by the neck, trotted across the hall, and expertly flung it straight into 702's apartment. Then, with a flick of his tail, he nudged their door shut. A cacophony of screams erupted from inside. The fat kid shrieked, "Dad, help me. I haven't even had my 10th birthday party yet. I don't want to die." Kyle yelled, "Son, don't worry. It's not poisonous. I bought it to scare him. Daddy's got it, just wait." Shadow trotted back to me, panting happily and circling my legs, clearly waiting for praise. I knelt down and ruffled the fur on his head. As if he understood everything, he licked my face. After a moment, the commotion across the hall died down. Kyle burst out of his apartment, wielding a meat cleaver. "You little beast! You dare throw a snake in my apartment? I'm going to butcher you tonight." He swung the cleaver at Shadow, but he never saw it coming. Shadow had anticipated his move. He leaped up and sank his teeth into Kyle's wrist. Clang! The meat cleaver hit the floor. Shadow lunged, knocking Kyle flat on his back. "Arg! Get off me, you damn animal!" The old man and the fat kid heard the noise and ran out of their bedrooms. They grabbed brooms and started swinging at Shadow. Seeing this, I covered my eyes. It was over. Shadow was about to be completely triggered. A series of agonized howls followed. When I looked again, the entire Jenkins family was lying heap on their floor. The sight was glorious. You just wait. I'm calling the cops. I'm going to have that animal put down." I just smirked and pulled a folded document from my pocket, Shadow's adoption papers, clearly identifying him as a retired police K-9. "You see, the animal that took you down is a retired police dog. My security camera recorded everything. He only attacked you because you attacked him first. Who do you think the police are going to believe?" After I finished, Kyle deflated. Fine. Our bad luck, all right? We're done." For a few days after that night, the family in 702 was completely silent. It was unsettling. It wasn't in their nature to back down. I had a feeling they were planning something big. 3 days later, their revenge came, and it was far more vicious than I could have imagined. I woke up the next morning to a storm of calls from my brother. "Are you still sleeping?" he demanded. "Check what's trending locally on Twitter." I pulled up the app. The #1 trending topic was me. Kyle, posting as a concerned neighbor, had accused me of abusing a retired police K-9. He paid a few local influencers to retweet it, adding commentary that I had a shady look and that the only way I could afford my nice condo and car was by making animal abuse videos for rich sickos online. I had to laugh. It was 2025, and their tactics were still this pathetic. I calmly screenshotted everything. Over 100,000 retweets and comments. This was going to be an expensive mistake for him. After saving the evidence, I asked my brother to connect me with his lawyer. He agreed instantly, assuring me that defamation cases like this were a slam dunk and to just sit tight and wait for the settlement check. After getting that sorted, I went to make Shadow his breakfast. Just as I finished, the police were at my door. 2 officers explained that they had received an anonymous tip alleging animal cruelty at my address and were here to investigate. The tip included photos of me walking Shadow in the complex. My blood boiled. I was about to argue, but one of the officers held up a hand. "Let's go. Bring the dog. We're taking him to a vet for an examination." And just like that, I was escorting Shadow out with 2 police officers. The second we stepped out of the building, Kyle materialized out of nowhere, feigning surprise. "Chris, what's going on? Did you get in some trouble? Need me to call your family for you?" "Get lost," I snapped. "Everyone look, the cops are taking Chris from 701 away." Kyle shouted to the gawking neighbors. "These young people today, always idle, up to no good. Looks like he's in some serious trouble. He looks like such a nice young man. I can't believe he'd abuse an animal. Well, it's all over the internet. It must be true. And I thought he was a good guy when he stood up to 702. Turns out he's just another monster. Yeah, look at this, they brought a whole squad car. He's not coming back from this one." The gossip grew more and more outrageous. I ignored it all and got into the police car with Shadow. At the vet clinic, the doctor gave Shadow a thorough checkup. The officers were there the whole time, professional and serious, but not hostile. I took the opportunity to tell them the entire story, how the Jenkins family had harassed me, thrown a snake at me, and provoked me at every turn. I showed them the security videos and the Facebook chat logs on my phone. The two officers' frowns deepened as they scrolled. The younger one shook his head. How did our precinct end up with a family of psychos like that? The test results came back quickly. Shadow was in perfect health, energetic, with no signs of abuse. In fact, his coat was glossy and healthy from the excellent care he'd received since retirement. The older officer patted Shadow's head. We understand the situation now, he told me. This was clearly a malicious false report, a waste of police resources. We will file a report and have a talk with the person who called it in. Don't worry, our department's official social media account will issue a public statement clarifying the matter. You can just retweet it to clear your name. A huge weight lifted from my chest. I thanked them profusely. On the way back, the officer gave me a final piece of advice. That family is vengeful. They failed this time, but they'll try again. Make sure your security camera is always working. If anything else happens, call us immediately. Don't confront them yourself. I nodded, taking his words to heart. The police car dropped me off back at the complex. Kyle was still there, squatting by the entrance with a few other gossipy residents. When he saw me and Shadow get out of the car, unharmed, and watched the officer say a friendly goodbye, his face turned a sickly shade of green. Officer, he's just let go, he stammered, rushing forward. The older officer fixed him with a hard stare. He is. You, on the other hand, for filing a false report and obstructing official duties, you're coming with us for a chat. Kyle panicked. I was just suspicious. I was just concerned about the community's well-being. If you have suspicions, you report them through proper channels, the officer said sternly. You don't fabricate stories online. As Kyle was escorted away, the group of onlookers quickly dispersed. Watching him get shoved into the back of the police car was incredibly satisfying. Shadow seemed to understand, letting out a loud, triumphant woof in the direction of the departing car. After Kyle was released, his apartment was quiet for a few days. It seemed like he had finally given up, until one day, I was coming back from walking Shadow and saw a little boy clutching a remote control car, standing nervously by the elevator, too scared to get in. Shadow seemed to sense something and trotted over to the boy, gently licking his pant leg. The boy's fear deepened, and I hurried over. His name is Shadow. He's friendly. That just means he likes you. The boy's expression softened. Once we were in the elevator, I learned that he was on his way to 702 to give Kyle's son, Leo, a birthday present. I had forgotten Kyle mentioning it. As we got off on our floor, I could hear the sounds of kids laughing and two adults arguing coming from their apartment. The little boy had his head down, trembling. I was about to ask him what was wrong when the door to 702 flew open. Leo swaggered out and snatched the remote control car from the boy's hands. What took you so long? Get hit by a car. Leo sneered. The little boy, clenching the hem of his shirt, started to explain, but Leo shoved him to the ground. It's my birthday, and you show up with that long face? Anyone would think I was bullying you. You're too late anyway. There's no room inside. But since you brought the car I wanted, I'll get you a plate. You can sit out here and eat. I never used to believe that some people are just born evil. But watching this, I started to believe it. Seeing the little boy forced to sit on the floor in the hallway, holding a plate of cake, I couldn't just stand there. Just as I was about to help him up, the property manager, Mr. Wong, came storming out of 702, muttering under his breath. According to Mr. Wong, Leo's friends had turned the whole building into a circus. They were playing basketball in the hallways, screaming and running around. One of them had a super soaker and was ambushing people in the elevator, demanding they hand over their snacks. If anyone refused, they'd get soaked. An owner complained, so the management sent a young woman up to talk to them. But Kyle and his father just ignored her, glued to a video game on their couch. She had to pull the headphones off Kyle's head to get his attention. What now? He'd snapped. A resident has complained that your son and his friends are being too loud. As their guardian, you need to supervise them. Kyle rolled his eyes. So what if they're loud? We pay our HOA fees. That means we get to enjoy the amenities. You get it? But you're disturbing the other residents. Before she could finish, Leo ran up and snapped a picture up her skirt with his phone. Lace! Black lace, he shouted, and all the kids erupted in laughter. The young woman, new to the job, burst into tears and fled. That's why Mr. Wong had come up himself to demand an explanation. But Leo had pointed a toy gun at him and screamed, "It's my birthday! If you keep yelling, I'll kill you. Mr. Wong was clearly at his wit's end. Just then, the little boy on the floor with the cake started to cry, a choked, hopeless sound. I immediately went to him. The moment I touched his hand, he winced and pulled it back. I gently rolled up his sleeve and saw angry red welts on his arm, like he'd been whipped. Mr. Wong sighed. That's Cody. He lives in the next building. His grandpa's bedridden, and his parents are migrant workers. Leo bullies him all the time. The worst time, Leo broke one of his ribs. When Cody's parents came to complain, the old man faked an injury and extorted money from them. His parents didn't know any better, took the loss, and went home and beat Cody for causing trouble. The kid's barely spoken a word since. This was insane. Utterly insane. A fire of pure rage ignited in my gut. Just as it was about to consume me, my phone rang. It was my sister-in-law. Chris, honey, your brother's out of town, and I have to go see my mom for a few days. Would it be okay if Alex came to stay with you? Of course. Send him over now. I hung up the phone, a slow smile spreading across my face. My nephew, Alex, has a severe behavioral disorder. He spent 3 years in a specialized residential treatment center and had only been discharged a few months ago. Him coming to stay with me wasn't a problem. It was a solution. My sister-in-law texted me that Alex was already downstairs just as I was putting my things away. When he saw me, he ran up and threw his arms around me. Uncle Chris, I missed you so much, he yelled, planting a few sloppy kisses on my cheek. I was a bit embarrassed by the enthusiastic greeting. After letting me go, he went straight for Shadow, burying his face in his fur. In my experience, Alex was a polite kid. He could always tell when someone was genuinely kind to him. More importantly, thanks to my brother and sister-in-law's tireless efforts, he had a strong sense of right and wrong. He despised bullies, but would never harm an innocent person. In the elevator, he chattered away, telling me all the new things he'd learned at the treatment center. If someone bumps into you, you don't punch them. You say, "Excuse me." If someone insults your family, you don't grab a kitchen knife. You call the police. Listening to him, I thought, well, my brother's money wasn't wasted. As we stepped out of the elevator, I was trying to figure out how to explain the situation to Alex when the door to 702 opened. Leo and his gang of friends swaggered out. Leo, a toothpick dangling from his mouth, stood over Cody, who was still on the floor. He kicked him. "Eat it. I give you a piece of my birthday cake, and you don't eat it? What? You're too good for me." Cody tearfully took a bite. The next second, he spat it out, gagging and throwing up. "Ha ha!" Leo's laughter echoed in the hall. What an idiot. I squeezed a whole tube of wasabi into his cake. Hope it burns his face off. Suddenly, Leo's eyes fixed on a keychain hanging from Alex's backpack, a collectible Labubu figure. He marched over, pointed at it, and demanded, "Give it to me." Alex was taken aback. "What?" "The Labubu," Leo repeated. "Give it to me. It could be my birthday present." Alex's expression hardened. "Do I know you? Get lost." Leo's friends handed him a super soaker, and he aimed it at Alex. "Give it to me now, or I'll blast you." Alex clutched the keychain. Leo sprayed him right in the face. Before I could intervene, Alex kicked Leo so hard he flew backward. Before the old man or Kyle could come running, Alex grabbed Leo by the hair and shoved his face into the wasabi-laced cake on the floor. Leo's face was completely covered in frosting and vomit. His friends howled with laughter. Cody stopped crying and stared at Alex with pure admiration. Leo was in too much pain to do anything but scream for help. Other neighbors, hearing the commotion, came out to see what was happening. Seeing the neighborhood tyrant finally getting his due, they discreetly escorted Cody away, leaving Alex a clear stage. Alex knelt and grabbed Leo by the collar. "How's the wasabi cake?" "Good." Leo was terrified, his eyes darting toward his apartment door. Alex slammed Leo's head against the wall. "I asked you a question. Answer me." Leo whimpered. "It's good, it's good." "Oh, it's good," Alex said, scooping up a handful of the ruined cake and stuffing it into Leo's mouth. "Then let me help you have some more." After a moment, he grabbed the water gun and started spraying water into Leo's mouth. "Swallow it all. Cake and water. Don't you dare spit any out." The wasabi was so strong Leo looked like steam was coming out of his ears, but he was too scared to make a sound. "The Labubu," Alex said calmly. "You still want it?" Leo shook his head frantically. "No, I don't want it." "But you were just trying to take it," Alex pressed. Leo burst into tears. I won't take it. Finally, the old man and Kyle came out. I quickly stepped in and pulled Alex behind me. Not because I was afraid of what they would do to Alex, but because I was afraid that if there had been a knife nearby, Alex really might have used it. Call the police. I want this little monster thrown in jail. Kyle roared when he saw the blood trickling down Leo's forehead. The old man was calmer, simply demanding I pay them $200,000 for his precious grandson's medical bills. The neighbors all spoke up for Alex and me, explaining that Leo had tried to rob him first. Kyle wasn't having it. It's normal for kids to snatch things from each other. But he attacked him. He's in the wrong. I smiled. My nephew has a mental illness. Your son just triggered an episode. Kyle clearly didn't believe me. Don't give me that crap. Him? A mental illness? Yeah, right? And my whole family has one too. I don't care. Like my dad said, 200 grand for medical bills, not a penny less. If you don't pay, I'll make sure that little psycho behind you rots in a cell. So, right there in front of him, I taunted, guess what? I'm not paying. What are you going to do about it? Mel? Good. I hope you are. Your son got what he deserved, and you're not getting a single dime out of me. The old man was so enraged he had to lean against the doorframe for support. What are you waiting for? He wheezed at his son. Call the cops. And so, both our families ended up at the police station. During my statement, I took out Alex's psychiatric evaluation and explained that he had just been released from a residential facility. Today's incident was a result of being provoked. The police were skeptical at first, but check of Alex's records in their system confirmed my story. When we came out, Kyle was still ranting. Officers, you have to do something. The officer looked grim. Mr. Jenkins, why would your son provoke a kid with a known psychiatric condition? This boy has a documented diagnosis. The kind that makes him not legally responsible if he were to kill someone. Do you understand? The entire Jenkins family was stunned. Kyle was the first to speak. What does that mean? The officer explained, it means for your own good, leave them alone. Otherwise, you might lose a lot more than just money. In the end, we all walked out of the police station without any charges being filed. I thought that would be the end of it, that the Jenkins family would finally get the message. I never imagined they would kidnap me. 10. That night, I was driving back with Alex and Shadow after dinner. I pulled into my spot in the parking garage and felt a shift in the air, a sense of movement behind me. I got out of the car to look, and a burlap sack was thrown over my head. I instinctively fought back, but someone kicked the back of my knee hard, and I collapsed. I heard Kyle's triumphant voice. Finally got you, you bastard. Let's see you act so tough now. My heart sank. It was them, but Alex and Shadow were still in the car. I tried desperately to shout, to warn them to lock the doors, but my mouth was sealed shut with duct tape and my hand were zip-tied behind my back. Two men grabbed me, one on each side, and shoved me roughly into the back of a van. The air was thick with a nauseating smell of stale fish and sweat. The van started up and sped away. I forced myself to stay calm. With my hands bound behind me, I fumbled in my pocket. Thankfully, my phone was there. Working by feel, I managed to press the side button sequence to trigger the emergency SOS. About 20 minutes later, the van stopped. I was dragged out. The sack was pulled off my head, the tape ripped from my mouth. The harsh glare of a bare light bulb made me squint. It was some kind of abandoned warehouse, covered in dust and grease stains. Kyle, his scar-faced father, and even the fat kid were there. Standing with them were two thuggish-looking men Kyle must have hired. Didn't see this coming, did you? Kyle sneered, a cigarette dangling from his lips. Go on, call the cops now. Let your dog out. Let your psycho nephew beat up my son. The old man cackled. Young people today don't know their place. Time to teach you a lesson. The fat kid spat at me. Jerk, we're going to lock you up and starve you. I took a deep breath, trying to control the anger and fear. This is kidnapping. You'll go to prison for this. Let me go now, and I'll forget this ever happened. Let you go. Kyle laughed, as if it were the funniest joke he'd ever heard. I paid my friends to come here. You think I brought you here for dinner? Let me tell you, if you don't cough up 200 grand for pain and suffering, medical bills, lost wages, and my buddy's finder's fee, you're not walking out of here. And, the old man added, picking up a rusty pipe, you're going to write a letter promising to stay away from my family, never call the police, and never film us again. And that dog and that psycho nephew of yours, they're gone. Or else. I knew reasoning with them was useless. I play for time, listening for any sound from outside. 200,000? You gotta be kidding. And if I say no? No. Kyle's eyes went cold. He nodded at one of the thugs. The man stepped forward and punched me hard in the stomach. The pain doubled me over. Don't want to do this the easy way, huh? Kyle spat. Just then, the sound of police sirens pierced the night, growing rapidly closer. Everyone froze. Kyle's face drained of color. What the hell? Who called the cops? The two thugs panicked. Kyle, man, you said this was clean. Why are the cops here? Relief washed over me. The SOS call worked. I forced myself to stand up straight, a cold smile on my face. I told you, kidnapping is a felony. The siren stopped right outside. A voice boomed through a loudspeaker. This is the police. You are surrounded. Release the hostage and come out with your hands up. Kyle was completely unglued. The fat kid hid behind his grandfather. The two thugs glanced at each other, shoved Kyle aside, and made a break for the back door. Crash! The back door was kicked in, and armed officers stormed the warehouse. Police! Don't move! Hands in the air! It was over in seconds. Kyle, his father, and the two thugs were all on the ground in handcuffs. An officer rushed over to cut my zip ties. Are you all right? We received your phone's emergency SOS and located you. I'm fine, I said, rubbing my wrists. Thank you for getting here so fast. The lead officer looked at me, then at the Jenkins family. He shook his head wearily. You two again. You've really done it this time. Kyle was still struggling. Officer, it's a misunderstanding. We were just having a chat. The officer's voice was like ice. Asha? You call a burlap sack, zip ties, and an abandoned warehouse a chat? This is called kidnapping and assault. The police secured the scene and took my preliminary statement. My brother and sister-in-law were already at the station, waiting with Alex and Shadow. After I was kidnapped, Alex had brilliantly locked the car doors. He'd also memorized the van's license plate and called my brother, who immediately called the police. With two separate reports pointing to the same thing, the police were able to find me in record time. In the end, Kyle and his two hired thugs were charged with kidnapping and assault and held without bail. The old man, as a co-conspirator, faced serious charges as well. Because Leo was a minor, he was released into the custody of other relatives after a severe lecture from the police. The incident sent shockwaves through the community. The residents' Facebook group exploded. The same neighbors who had told me to just pay the money and keep the peace were now vehemently condemning the Jenkins family. The property management company, finally finding its backbone, began eviction proceedings. And just like that, Building 19 was quiet. As for Cody, the little boy from the next building, he started talking and playing outside again. When it was time for Alex to go home at the end of the summer, the two boys were inseparable, making me promise they could hang out again next year. I was more than happy to agree.